prostate cancer. As NPR media correspondent David Folkenflik recalls, McGinnis courted controversy throughout his career.
The concept of hypocrisy is woven through Joe McGinnis's work, the chasm separating our public and private selves. In his final book, a biography of Sarah Palin,
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and get slid in and get started. And I'm not seeing Elbert will be here shortly. Elbert lives in the other room. Were there any modifications to our agenda?
I have none to offer.
Okay, we'll keep moving. I didn't see anyone signed in to speak. This is the time for public staff to speak if they wish. And I'm not seeing anyone that's signed in. So we'll keep moving because we have entertainment, we have things going on, and we're going to go ahead and get, but we won't do that yet. We will hear from our student reps and LECS, Rosie, Ned.
Hi. So trips rotations were last Wednesday, and students got a chance to see what trips they could sign up for. And we signed up for trips last Friday. And spring trips are something that we do every year, where we spend a week in mid-May, and everyone goes on a different trip. And it's a really great bonding experience for everyone. And we find out what trip we're going to be on this Friday. Our school is doing a chocolate fundraiser. Somebody donated thousands and thousands of chocolate bars to our school, so we're selling them for $1 throughout the year. My senior team, which is focused on alumni outreach and surveying alumni that have never previously been surveyed and getting information, will be presenting on April 8th to a group of ACS staff, and everyone is invited to come. And the Middle East debates, which are the one of the culminating assessments of the Facing History and Ourselves class, where everyone takes on a character and participates in 3 days of debating and speeches, will be on the 25th, the 26th, and the 28th of March, and everyone is encouraged to come. And it is, me and Ned are both TAs in the class that's doing it, so we have seen them really rehearse, and it's a fun event that happens every year.
Also, the visual sociology class is putting on a movers and shapers presentation, which they also do every year. That's this Thursday and Friday. Thursday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and all day during Friday. That's just in the front hallway at LACS, and it's just a display of people that have moved and shaped these individuals that are presenting. A family group is hosting a movie night at LACS this Friday. That is for anyone who's interested in attending. There will be 3 movies playing, a PG, a PG-13, and an anime movie, so all bases are covered. And then we have a site-based council meeting this Thursday where we will be discussing a bit of budget stuff, but then mostly still working on our school development plan, which we were hoping to finish up the last one, but that was canceled because of weather. So that is all.
Great, thanks. Ithaca High?
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm with you. Michaela. Albert is distracting. But, this guy's wandering around, and you know, he could just be anybody. But go ahead.
Last weekend, the Ithaca High School Orchestra hosted Cabaret Night, which was really awesome. They did a really great job at all the performers. They were amazing, per usual. The senior class is doing a lift up video for their community service project for charity, I think. And so what they're doing is they're compiling 2 different songs, and they will have, I don't know if you all know what a lift up video is, but it's when people,
I was gonna probably ask, but
people lip sync to a song, and they make like a music video out of it, basically. So we're doing that to 2 different songs. The senior class is doing it, and they're having a bunch of clubs from Ithaca High School line the halls in different places around the school where the lead singers will pass through. And each club is supporting a different charity, and there will be a website that you can go to donate to different charities. And the senior class is doing that. A senior trip is on May 30th, and we're doing an overnight to Lake Placid. So that's new. We haven't done that in many years. And the show, the Ithaca High School musical Legally Blonde, is going to be on April 4th and 5th, and I think 7th City. And then the 6th at 2, right? Okay, yeah.
In sports, senior Richie Burke placed 4th in the NISFA State Wrestling Finals for his weight category. Boys varsity hockey went all the way to the NISFA Finals. Unfortunately, they lost against Messina. And then the boys varsity swim team went to states 2 Saturdays ago, and the medley relay broke the state record.
Picture it. Hundreds of IHS athletes gearing up for a great spring season and ultimately being able to conquer anything. We saw amazing achievements in our last season, and this spring season is one where the sun comes out and the talent comes out as well. The achievements don't just happen in the winter, they happen in the spring. And as a spring athlete, we're all very excited to ultimately get in there, use those beautiful facilities, and practice our respective sports. The IHS Model United Nations Club participated in the Radical UNAR Conference. That's United Nations Association of Rochester. In this format, students called delegates in this sense emulate the actions of the UN, United Nations, in a large conference. We tripled our attendance, that's right, tripled, from 8 to 34, a little over tripled that is, this year. 15 out of the 33, one student chaired, so 33, 15 of them won awards. We're all very happy about it, great time. The students ultimately had memories that and used their skills that they learned at club that could last a lifetime. Special thanks to the trio of stellar people who accompanied us, including a chaperone, our advisor, and bus driver. They all walked around, saw the committees, and it was a great time. In the 1984 ad campaign for Wendy's, these 84-year-old women echo the phrase, "Where's the beef?" Well, those in the IHS cafeteria could potentially say, "Where's the cheese?" That's right. The most popular breakfast item, breakfast sandwiches, which come in a trio of meats, ham, bacon, and sausage, and vegetarian, now come without cheese for those who don't like cheese or perhaps are lactose intolerant. I want to thank the cooperation of the IHS cafeteria, and we can proudly say, and confidently say, more reforms to come. Well, two things on a lighter note, one of which.
Lighter than cheese.
Lighter than cheese. One of my, and this may seem a bit odd, but it has a point, and it's very important. One of my strolls through the high school, daily stroll, I come across these students making animal sounds in a very harmonious fashion. And I kind of waited there, and they were singing in animal sounds. They had all the sounds of the farm, and it turned out to be Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I inquired about this because it was really beautiful. And they had actually arranged this and practiced this. And during it started in the 1990s where people just loved to make animal sounds, and they did it instead of using conversation. And with this song, what does the fox say? We can incorporate animal sounds and music to make something very nice. So, although it is unusual, that was very nice. So we have to recognize all sorts of fine arts achievements, no matter how odd they seem, because really, they can all be beautiful if they seem different. Another thing is promposals. Now, bunch students promposing to the person they want to take to prom, and these have been so creative, so popular, and we are proud of any kind, within reason of course, occupancy of the high school. So all over you're going to see this, but we also of course have to recognize those who because this is about choice ultimately. Maybe those who don't want to go to prom or go alone, but those who do want to take a date, they're ultimately doing this in a very creative fashion that makes people essentially say, wow, or more appropriately, aw. But, and that's all I have for Dave.
Guys, I'm mid-drink. Okay, I've lost my place, but thank you, Con. I frankly did hear, I was at the Site-Based Council meeting last Thursday, and that was my first experience with the proposal idea. It's certainly not something that we didn't have, so, you know, it's... you don't want it to be downhill from there. So glad to, go ahead, do whatever you guys did. It's great. Anyway, thank you, Ithaca. Board responses, other than what I just said. Go ahead.
Just to follow on, no, I did go to the hockey state championship game. It was great. It's a good number of folks from the community were there. It was great to see good sportsmanship by our team. I know it was disappointing, but they lined right up for the handshake afterwards. No whining about things. Did very well. Appreciated that. I think they had a pretty good season. That was a team that was under 500 just 2 years ago, and made it to the state championship this year. Pretty quick turnaround in 2 seasons to get that far. So appreciated seeing that.
And certainly echo that. Superintendent and I were there as well, and we talked about it. There were a lot of young hockey players in New York State that wish they could have been there that day, and so congratulations to the team from Ithaca High, because they were there, and it was a very close game, and ran into some tough guys from the North Country. So it's colder up there, longer there than it is down here. So any other Any other comments right now? And so we'll keep moving. And on to the consent agenda, which has a consideration of accounts. It's probably one of the shortest ones I've seen in a few years, probably. But, so it's there in front of you.
Move adoption as presented.
Second.
Second by Pat. Any questions? Nothing? Okay, all in favor? That's everyone minus Judy Max and Sean, who's traveling. And since we mentioned Judy Max is under, well, not quite under the weather, but did have, well, it's pretty common knowledge, did have a knee replacement, so Judy Max is recovering at home. And our best goes out to Judy, and she will be back with us shortly because we can't do what we do without Judy Maxwell. So that's pretty obvious. So we look forward to having Judy back very soon. And our best to her, and I'm sure she's watching. Maybe. So we're going to move on to the superintendent's report. And I suppose I should, before I hand it over to Dr. Brown, just congratulate Dr. Brown because the National School Boards Association named Dr. Brown as one of the nation's 20 educators to watch. Dr. Brown is the only Brown is the only educator in New York State to be honored this year. There will be an event in the not too distant future that I believe, Dr. Brown, you will join others in Washington. It's next week. So next week to be honored by the National School Boards Association. Obviously, there's a lot of awards that are thrown around by various entities. The National School Boards Association, obviously, they're an entity of which we are a part, and you know, as with all school boards association, looking out for the best interests of the kids in not only this community but in the country. So a high honor, Dr. Brown, and so congratulations.
Thank you.
So now, Dr. Brown, it's superintendent's report, and you have, I see there's electronics in this room as well. So.
Many. And thank you for the kind remarks, and thanks to the community. As I said to the folks when they called, they aren't watching me, they're watching us. The work that we've accomplished together in the past 4 years has been some of the best work I've had a chance to be a part of, and some of the best work happening in our great nation. So thank you all for your support and listening to this guy from the South who went to his first real high school hockey game, state championship with 2 kids, sitting through the entire thing. So I'm learning a lot with you, as I hope you're learning with me. And with that, in my ongoing attempts to keep up with the folks on the student reps on the board, I'm bringing some of my friends to help spice up my section on the agenda as well. And Mr. Brown, would you introduce me?
I'm actually going to, thank you. I'm going to introduce Bob Wyans, who is the artistic director and the producer. He'll tell you a little bit about the scene. And I will just set it that this will be blonde soon, correct?
Yes.
So you want to imagine Legally Blonde, that she's got blonde hair. But I'll let Bob tell you about the scene and the young people and his colleagues that are participating.
So this is Kira Byron and Joelle Payne. Kira Byron plays Elle Woods, who travels to us from California to Harvard following a man who dumped her, and she wants to win him back, and she thinks she needs to try to become a law student just like he is in order to accomplish this. So she works really hard, gets into Harvard Law, and travels out to Harvard. And upon getting there, discovers that he is with another girl at this moment, and she's devastated. She decides that he's never going to take her seriously if she has blonde hair, so she goes to a salon to get her hair dyed, upon which she meets Joelle Payne, who's playing Paulette, and that is the scene as it unfolds. She is first walking into the salon, meets Paulette for the first time. It's a really funny, fun show. It's going on April 4th through the 6th. I think we have some coupons for free tickets, correct? Mm-hmm. So we hope that we will see you all there. And sorry we didn't have a part for you this year in the show. We were going to let you play Elle, but... So, without further ado...
Hey there! Welcome to the hair fair. You're with Paulette, so you're in good hands. I'm sort of like Allstate, but for hair.
Make me a brunette.
A what? A brunette. Honey. No, you're a genetic lotto win. Okay, no. Something else is going on here. All right, Paulette is listening. Spill.
Okay, well, I'm Elle Woods, and I came all the way out here for Harvard Law School.
That's a good school.
I know, right? Well, I did it all to follow my one true love, Warner. But now he's dating an evil preppy.
Okay, so what she got that you don't got? 3 boobs?
She's serious.
Seriously, does she have 3 boobs?
No, she's a constipated polo shirt with a mousy brown bob. Apparently, that's what Warner wants. So you have to make me a brunette.
Honey, do you know the #1 reason behind all bad hair decisions? Love. You're lost without your love. Your heart is on the floor. I can help you. I've been there before. When I need to relax, I just put on some tracks from this CD I bought for the store.
I also want to introduce Kristen Zarisky, our new choral director at the high school. She's one of our new learners.
Thank you all.
Wow. My section's getting a little better, huh? Thank you all for being here. Sure.
So now we're going to talk about budget. plan.
Nationally recognized performing arts programs, again, one especially for music education in the country, and other accolades on display. Speaking of national recognition, featured in another national publication I don't know if many folks know about. We've been talking about our outstanding food service program for many years now, and now they're also receiving some national accolades as well. Would you like to share a few examples of what's happening with this piece?
About 3 years ago, we started, did you want me up there?
Stand up, well, stand up.
About 3 years ago, we entered a contest with our new Cool School Foods plant-based entrees, and we received within the top 30 all over the country, within the top 30 recipes, and were put into the USDA cookbook by Let's Move, Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. So this is, the cookbook just came out, and we're featured, the Ithaca City School District is featured in the cookbook. Wow.
That's going on.
Students that were involved working with us, Aaliyah Cowie and Josie Weisbach. And they have I have 2 cookbooks for them. I'll bring it to the high school. I think they're both seniors right now. We started this while they were at Boynton. So, yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's great. Some more international attention. Mr. Bill Daggett will be joining us on Thursday. He will be in Culp Auditorium for free. Bill Daggett will be here on Thursday in Culp Auditorium for free to frame the why around the Common Core. I've heard this gentleman speak a few times. He's been all over the nation talking. He has set the stage for why we've had to have a reform agenda, or why do something like a Common Core. He shares specific data points, talks about what's happening as far as trends in the workforce, in public education, and he does a great job. He's an international speaker. He's going to be here. We're partnering with the BOCE, TSC BOCES, and the other local school districts, and we're hoping to fill Culp Auditorium. So if you have time on Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening at 6:30, please come out to Culp to hear this gentleman's remarks. And finally, we've launched the site level feedback survey, so please, you should have received an email, or you can go to our website and complete the survey for your individual department or school building. Provide us some valuable information as we look to continuously improve. So that's all I have for tonight.
Great, Dr. Brown.
Yeah.
Thanks. And again, Legally Blonde, it's April 4th, 5th, and 6th. There are just 3 shows, not 4, not a Thursday show. So get there while you can. So Dr. Brown, school district business. We are going to get to the budget shortly, but we do have one more item just regarding students and students' activities, and why not talk about that before we have to talk about numbers? So it's the Quebec City trip. Dr. Brown, when I was in junior high, we didn't go anywhere, so it sounds like a great trip. And
we have a friend here to share an update, and the board had.
I have a presentation, but maybe it's a bit too awkward.
Presentation awkward? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, for the, can we do the smart board? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just going to rearrange the furniture for a second. And,
sorry.
No, you're on the agenda, so this is your.
What's a trip without pictures?
Yeah. Oh, while we're transitioning, we wish to provide an update on the calendar.
Does Bob really want to give an update on the calendar? Bob, you're going to give an update on the calendar, so go ahead.
And over. Yeah. As of 7:30 tonight, we do not need another snow day, so we're good. None of the students clapped, by the way. So the state ed is allowing this year only for a superintendent's conference day after the June Regents, which typically isn't allowed to count towards 180 days, to count for this year only. So we will have a superintendent's conference day at some point after the June Regents week. There's a criteria that you have to meet. You have to talk about implementation of Common Core, and so we will have that on the agenda. And keep your fingers crossed. No more snow days.
As of today.
As of today.
And that holds for Thursday because there's Bill Daggett's coming in on Thursday evening, and you need to have school, and so it'll snow, but not snow too much, right? Right, Dr. Brown?
We could use a break.
Yeah, we should.
Thank you.
So here we go. Now,
you want to introduce yourself?
We transitioned, and we're ready.
So my name is Rebecca Stevenson. I teach French at DeWitt Middle School, and it was May last year.
I'm not sure whether that's for French or for DeWitt, but for both.
Both.
There we go.
So it was May last year where I actually came to a board meeting and asked for permission to lead a group of students from Boeing and DeWitt to Quebec City. And we did go. We went over February break, and the weather cooperated, so we had a very successful trip. And I wanted to take just a few minutes to share that experience with you and a few thoughts about continuing that tradition. So students are encouraged to use Prezzies a lot, so I thought that I would do the same. So we organized the trip. Well, I say we. In fact, I was a group leader, so I organized the trip together with an organization called Prometour Educational Tours. They're based out of Montreal, Canada, and they organize educational trips all over the world. But I was particularly interested in that organization because not only did they offer an individualized program for our school district, meaning we wouldn't have to combine with other area schools to get enough kids to go, which is often common in this kind of trip, but they offered something really unique for such a short 5-day trip, which was students could stay with host families. So students were able to stay in groups of 2 or 3 with a French-speaking host family for the 4 nights and 5 days that we were in Quebec. And that's really unique, so that was a big selling point. And they also offer the opportunity to visit a local school while we were there. So those were the 2 main reasons that I chose Prometour. They also had some really good recommendations. I had the opportunity to talk with a couple of other schools that had traveled, and they had good recommendations. So I felt that they were the partner we were looking for. So the itinerary, I chose February because I felt like Canada had a lot to offer in a unique way during the winter months, and taking advantage of the February break would allow students to go without having to take any time off from school. So we left February 15th and came back on the 19th. We took a charter bus, so it was a 9-hour trip. Features, of course, with a family homestay. We did visit a junior-senior high school for half a day, which was great. And insurance was part of the trip, so I did not actually have to organize anything separate for travel insurance. So that took some of the pressure off of me as the organizer. So at the end, after a 4-month registration period, we had 22 participants. It was all an online registration process organized by Prometour, and so we had a nicely even distribution. We had 9 boys and 13 girls. 10 were from Boynton and 12 were from DeWitt. And the final price was just over $1,000 per participant. To offset the costs, we did fundraising. I'm new to fundraising, and we actually had a fairly short time frame because I really didn't get the ball rolling until September. So we did a very successful sale of Gimme Coffee, and we did some other smaller fundraising, cleaning up after a lacrosse tournament in the parking area, and we had a bake sale. This obviously we would expand in the future, I hope. But we raised $1,800, which was nice. So the trip, we had 9 hours on the bus to get to know each other. I also did organize 2 weeks before we left. We all met at the YMCA so that the Boynton and DeWitt kids could really get to know each other before we went. So that was a nice, they were in swimming and we were in the basketball court, and it was just kind of a relaxed time. So by the time we were on the bus, and by the time we got to Quebec, we all knew each other pretty well. The bus tour was, the charter bus was Wade Tours. They're out of Utica. It was organized by the agency. Our driver was an ex-member of the Sheriff's Department up in Utica, and he also was an EMT, so I felt really good about that. So when we got there, our local tour guides were very kind and energetic, and they were very age appropriate, which I found to be important. We were with 12 and 13-year-olds. We didn't get lots of boring lectures about the history. They really livened things up and made it very interesting for the kids. So that's a picture of our group, and the guy with his hand up there was one of our tour guides, who was really part of the group while we were there, and took care of the kids just as much as I did, so I appreciated that. By the way, Michelle Morse, the French teacher at Boynton, was the other chaperone on the trip from the school district. We did visit a school, and it was their 7th grade ESL class that hosted us, so I was in contact with their teacher about 6 weeks prior to the visit, and we paired the kids up by email, so they were able to email back and forth a few times before actually getting together. So once we finally met, and we're a very large group, many of the kids had already exchanged a couple of emails and knew some things about each other, so they were happy to actually meet face to face. And in 3 hours, which included a pizza party, the kids, by the end, of course it's always awkward at the beginning, but by the end they really were engaged and enjoying the time together, and they were excellent hosts, so we hope that we can continue to exchange with them electronically and then in the future. Of course, we had lots of activities. They were incredibly organized. They were very well done, and the students were all really enthusiastic. Highlights, crossing the frozen St. Lawrence River in an ice-breaking ferry was really, some kids, this was the first time on a boat ever. So that was exciting. The whole maple syrup culture, it was a lot of fun. And this activity was spectacular. They did an interactive military demonstration. The kids are loading a cannon like they were having a race. It was so much fun, and the kids were cheering and stomping and carrying on. And I really want these two gentlemen, who one was a British soldier or general and the other was a French, I want them to come to my classroom because the students could not peel their eyes away. They were very engaging. Ice fishing, and of course dog sledding. That was the highlight. And it was cold, and the kids learned a lot about dressing warm. So overall impression, I think from everyone, not only parents and students and ourselves, but also people there, the tour guides and the museums that we visited and the activities, they were all very complimentary to us. They invited us back anytime. They enjoyed having us there, and parents and students alike have been very complimentary and seem to want to see it continue. So for me, improvements for the future, there's a few bits and pieces, some more clarity regarding the insurance. There's a little bit of going back and forth, paperwork, some communication about deadlines. We had people squeaking in at the end, but everybody's needs were met. And then what I see for the future, I would like this to become a tradition for the middle schools at Ithaca City School District. I would like to see it happen every other year. I think every year would drain the population too much. We might not have as many people able to go if we do every year. I would continue with Promotor. They were outstanding. And I've now started a French club at DeWitt to start building that interest on a more regular basis and fundraising. And I definitely see for the future, I would most certainly like to partner with a community member organization to try and find ways to offer some scholarships in addition to the fundraising we do, so that more students can go, maybe that aren't necessarily in a financial situation to be able to front that kind of cost. So it was great. It was a really good experience, and I really thank the board for allowing me to pursue that dream, because it was great. So that was Quebec.
thank you for taking on
It was
responsibility
awesome.
and
they were
making it
a great
happen.
bunch of kids. I'm very proud of them.
Questions from anyone?
Well,
I think we're good. No, thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
Thinking about including LACS kids.
I would like to do that. Yes, I definitely see that as a next step. I understand that LACS did have a middle school group that went to Quebec earlier in the year. Is that right?
Yeah, LACS does trips week every year in the end of May, generally, or early May. And I know this year actually there's a group fundraising to go to Quebec, and that's during the school week. So that is a great opportunity. But I mean, one of the benefits of this is just getting to know people from other schools, and that might be a really good thing, just as an offer.
We will definitely see synergy there. That's great.
And I find it interesting that you showed the example of why you chose February and no school, but I don't know about enjoying all that cold weather activity. So, good for you. Kudos to you on that.
You can't dog sled in July. That was really great. And Ms. Morse and I both got on the dog sled, so.
You may be able to ice fish in July. Who knows this year? But,
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. And we will move on, and Dr. Brown will have the floor as we get into budget developments. The continuing discussions regarding our year-round budget process, Dr. Brown.
Year-round budget.
We're good.
And it is a year-round budget process. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about the continuous improvement process for us. You'll see a different picture this year. It's not Mr. Ainsley eating a cookie by young people, but the theme is the same. We continue to build a budget, invest and build a budget to meet the needs of our learners. That's been the theme. This is now my 4th budget process. And each year we've said we will be building a budget to meet the needs of our learners. And all along, we've been fiscally stressed in some ways. It's been challenging, but we've tried to do things that have, and obviously have met the needs of our young people. To do what is still a very bold goal, to have 6,000 plus thinkers. We're continuing to work towards doing just that. And when we rolled that out for folks initially, people were asking, well, what does it look like when you've done it? And we put some metrics in place. And then I was saying, oh, we can do this. We can work hard. We can see some significant improvements across the board for all performance indicators. And I'm happy to say, I think I may be one of the few superintendents in the country. There's a reason why people are watching us. Because of, you name any metric for any membership group, we've seen significant increases with regards to student achievement. And we, in many cases, redefine what achievement is. So attendance rate is up, discipline is down. Enrollment in some of our high-level courses are up. The achievement gap is closing. We still have much more work to do when we look at quantitative. And last year I showed a lot of qualitative information here around TV, etc. Now I'm showing quantitative pieces of data that we've shifted significantly because we've invested. And it's something, and when I'm at the conferences, I had the commissioner come to me last week, and some other folks come up, and I almost get a sense that they're wanting us to apologize for being good at times. Well, you're doing it, how are you doing it? There must be something that you haven't done well. But, we should be proud of this because we've been very thoughtful about the work. And we have outstanding young people in a very supportive community. And all of our data is online in a very transparent place as well. So the balanced scorecard is there. An annual equity report card is there. We're going to be updating that in the coming weeks. So this information is there for everyone to see. This is an image we're sharing with the community and the board. Again, we talked about revenue expectations at the last meeting. I want to go through this just briefly again. Revenue for this current school year, 2013-2014, you'll see what state aid is. You'll see we used fund balance and reserve as we've used over the past 4 years. And I remember Mr. Granger's last comments after the board approved the budget last year is we cannot continue to use reserves and fund balance in the same way going forward. And hopefully the gap elimination adjustment will go away, and hopefully the state will come back to the table. So not to foreshadow too much, but the state has not come back to the table. And neither has gap elimination been adjusted. The gap elimination adjustment been removed. The local property tax levy, within the local property tax levy limits last year, we've done that over the past 3 years since that's been in front of us. And you'll see our total revenue for this current year is $111 million. We have a $111 million budget. So we've done what the state has asked us to do. They've asked us to use reserves, which we've done. They've asked us to stay within the property tax levy limits, which we've done. But we haven't gone to the cap. And I'll show a slide later to show how we haven't gone to the cap in the past 3 budget cycles. And they've asked us to reach unprecedented levels of achievement for our young people, implementing the Common Core, implementing the APPR, and do things very innovatively. And I like to say we've done all that too. So we've done what our state has asked us to do. In turn, we've asked them to do what they said they would do for us and remove the gap elimination adjustment, come back with some additional state and foundation aids, and I can go on, but they haven't done anything we've asked them to. So I heard the word earlier, funding cliff, and again, we had federal stimulus, federal job money, what we call it in New York State, and other states with federal stimulus money. Those monies were around $1.4 million. Though it was a bit of a funding cliff, we used those to support staffing, and that money went away 4 years ago, and we used the reserve and fund balance to plug that gap. We've used reserves and fund balances that we had, and our government and our state has asked us to use to accommodate other gaps in our budget because of the gap elimination adjustment. But we've known all along, we've used this term at times, there will be a funding cliff if not getting the money that we have been expecting. Gap elimination adjustment. So the question we're going to continue here, why are we now having a conversation about how this is going to be a tougher budget cycle? Why are we having a conversation about not meeting expected revenues or expenditures? I probably went past that slide too quickly and may go back. Gap elimination adjustment is $21 million over 3 years, 4 years. This year will be an additional 3, $17 million, or $18 million for the last 3, another 3 expected this year, a total of $21 million over 4 years. Monies that I like to refer to as a double tax. Money that we should be receiving by state law. Can I say it that way?
I would say it that way, yes.
The money that we should be receiving by law, we have not. That money has been taken back from us, $21 million. The governor's budget, which is assuming minimal state aid increases, is flat. And I am going to go back to this slide here after that one to show 2014, 2015 projections when it comes to revenue. You'll see 2013, 2014, where the total revenue is $111 million. When looking at state aid, which is flat, you're looking at us not using as much reserve or fund balance, and you're seeing the top property tax levy cap, which is around 2.4%, according to the formula, which has changed twice in the last 9 months. It will be around $75 million for a total of $108. $108 million is revenue according to the formulas and laws that we must abide by, which is significantly less than the current operating budget. And we've talked about the gap elimination adjustment, the governor's budget, and the tax cap formula that we're working within. Here are some things that are fixed costs and that are budget drivers, however we wish to refer to things that we have to account for from budget to budget. Salaries, around $2.9 million increases from year to year. Healthcare, $1.9 million from year to year. TRS, ERS, Teacher Retirement System, and Employment Retirement System, you'll see those increases from year to year. Other things like around $200,000, $300,000 Social Security's workers' comp, those are expenditures that we must account for each year. And again, I remind you that our revenue projections are less than what our current operating budget is. And these are projections for next year. All that, and I'm going to show you several slides here to show the trend. So nothing out of the ordinary is happening. These are just costs that go up proportionally each year. This one you'll see salary. And all of the information I'm sharing with you now will be online at our budget website. We'll talk about that later too. So I need to take too many pictures. We'll put it all online for everyone to see. Salary increases, you'll see these are the total dollar amounts for salaries, just salaries alone. In 2011 and 12, we were at $45 million, and moving up with the percentage increases, the contractual increases we have, we're at 52. We're expecting, if we had everything as, I hate to use the word goal of a budget, but if we were to simply have everything in place that we have this year, salaries will be expected to be at $52 million, which is around that $2.9 million increase from year to year. Healthcare, here are the increases, and we've talked about healthcare every year. We talk about the budget development process. We talk about the exponential shifts when it comes to healthcare and retirement costs, and those continue to go up. And we're expecting, if everything was the same, that healthcare costs will be around $17 million next year. Consistent with the trends, we're continuing to go up. And TRS, teacher retirement costs, continuing to go up. And then you'll see the employment retirement increases. So fixed costs that continue to go up each year, yet we're receiving, and you'll see in a minute, we're receiving less revenue by formula and because we aren't using as much reserve fund balance. Efficiency. I went back and looked at every presentation we've given around the budget development process for the last 3.5 years. And we've done a lot. We have done well to do what we've done within the property tax levy limits and minimal increases from minimal increases in dollars in overall budget to overall budget. We've had to do some things. We've done the retirement incentive. We had about 60 people take advantage of the retirement incentive. Utilities, we saved over $500,000 in just the electricity bills because we've done things like paperless environments. We've paid much more attention to when lights are on and when they're off. We've shut computers down when we needed to. We've done some things with utilities to save money. Operational budgets, and I struggle with our administrators. We have pretty much cut operational budgets. Discretionary funds, we don't have much of that anymore. Building-based operational budgets are minimal now, enough to get by. We've made reductions there over the last 4 budget cycles. Vacancy control, every position that comes open, we put through a process. It slows down the hiring process in some ways, but we are sure that that's a critical position or not, or we don't fill it. We're taking everything through a process. Transportation, we consolidated bus routes, found other efficiencies in transportation. I have technology up here as an efficiency, and that's very purposeful. The conversation from LA all the way over to the East Coast right now, when you're having these kind of tough budget cycle conversations, the 2 places people go first, technology purchases and administrators. I'm showing technology here as efficiency for us. We have not significantly increased our technology lines over the last 4 years. When I got here, we couldn't stream videos. So we went back and renegotiated bandwidth contracts, where we saved money and quadrupled the amount of bandwidth we have in our building. We now can stream videos. We had no wireless coverage 4 years ago. We used monies left over from the bond project to put rigorous wireless coverage around our buildings and into playgrounds. Monies that was intended for use for buildings and facilities anyway, not for staff or for textbooks, but for buildings. We have wireless in all of our buildings now because of that. Hardware, devices. You've been able to go to a 2-to-1 student to device ratio, 5 years old or less, because we've leveraged BOCE's aid and lease agreements. No increase to the line, but we quadrupled our buying power by going to 4-year leases. And now that money which we were using as one-time purchases that wasn't aidable is now aidable. So the monies we get back, we enter into a new lease. Software lines. We were purchasing software as a one-off, and it wasn't coming out of aidable lines. We now purchase software through aidable lines, and we get monies back. About 50% of every dollar we spend on software back. So the thing, and I know people see, and we've done quite a bit. We're being recognized nationally for what we've done with technology implementation here, with the hardware and software tools. And I'm saying to you as an efficiency because of the way we've negotiated and handled it. FTE. I've been asked often how many more FTE do you have now than we had 3 years ago. Our overall student enrollment is rather flat. We're up 5 or 10 students here or there, but overall we're rather flat. You'll see in 2011 and 12 where we were total FTE, not body, not the number of people, but FTE. And you'll see where we are in 2013, 2014. With the classified clerical support employee association, we're pretty much flat. Support professionals, TAs, teacher assistants, teacher aides, we're up about 6. Administrators, we're up about 3. Teachers, we're up about 20 or so over 3 years. Now, along this time, let's just talk about the administrators alone. We didn't know about APPR 3.5 years ago. The hundreds of observations, if not 1,000 observations that we've had to add on to our administrators have necessitated us adding some additional administrative support. As Mr. Van Kuren was telling me earlier, we feed 6,000 plus young people a day. We drive tens of thousands of miles every day. There's some administrative support that needs to be in place for this organization to operate efficiently. And when you see a total number of 34, I think we're very lean there. And the increase is based on what we've had to do as far as APPR and some instructional pieces that we had to move forward. I'm comfortable with that increase over time, although we're going to be addressing all of these numbers in this year. And the teacher FT, we've done some outstanding things for young people. And I'm confident saying we need to add staff, or we need to add staff to support the needs of our learners. But again, those are where our FTE numbers are today, and that's where we've gone since 2011. I'm going to try and represent the tax levy and tax rate information in two different ways. I don't know which way is better, so maybe I'll get some feedback on folks about how best to do this. But each year we talk about what the tax levy is, the increase of that total dollar amount in which we tax our community, and then we talk about the tax rate, what the impact will be to one's tax bill. And the property value in our community has continued to go up, and we expect that to happen yet again. And because it's gone up, while our levy is increasing, the actual impact of one's bill hasn't been as significant as what we propose as far as the levy. I never do a great job of explaining that, but I try my best, and hopefully my images make it, and you always come back again and explain much better than I, Mr. Ainsley and Mr. Granger. But the first year we were 2.39, and the rate was actually 1.4%. There are a lot of folks in our community who are very happy when they see their tax bills and they're seeing minimal increases from year to year because of that 0.32 number and that 0.69 number. Represented in a different way, this yellow line is the tax levy, the total dollar amount that we asked our community to support education. And you'll see what those 2.39%, 2.4%, 2.7% increases look like over time for that total dollar amount for this current school year. That blue line represents where we could have gone using the maximum number on that formula. So the tax cap for 2012, 2013 was around, it was in 3% or more. We didn't go there. And had we gone there, we could have raised an additional $1.5 million. And you'll see that trend. We could have gone a bit higher over the past year, but we didn't do so. That number at the far end, that's what the tax levy would be for this current school year, at that 2.4%. And as you also can see, according to the formula, we can raise this less than what we were able to raise last year according to that tax cap formula. So I hope that slide makes it make a little bit more sense, but I just thought I would represent it a bit differently to show that gap. It's helpful. And maybe that is the last image I have there. But I just want to frame a conversation. Tonight I'm looking for some direction from the board. Obviously there's a significant gap that we need to account for. The revenue is less than where it was in the current, will be less next year than it is in this current year, according to the tax cap formulas. We're hoping to put together a budget that's going to meet the needs of our learners. And I can say to you, at $108 million, that won't be the case. It will be difficult for us to put together a budget at $180 million that will meet the needs of our learners. And I'm going to need some direction from you tonight of whether or not we can put together something that's a bit higher, which would mean we're going over the tax cap. And even then, I anticipate we will have to make some significant reductions to staff in all areas. All areas of the organization will be impacted in some way, as we're going to attempt to get even leaner than we are this year. I like to think we're running rather efficiently, but we're going to have to continue to look at that. As we've had our internal conversations already, we don't see ourselves stopping or ending any particular program that will hurt young people. We're going to protect the classroom experience as much as we can, but it will be a bit different in some cases. Some cases we can be leaner than we can in others, but every part of the organization will be touched in some way. And the hard conversation is we will have some staff members who are with us now that probably won't be next year because we may be looking at potential staff reductions and potential layoffs. That's a tough conversation. We were here in my first budget cycle. We had a $5 million gap, I believe, that year. And that was a tough conversation. I was coming off of 5 years of that, thinking it would be different in a different state. And we was after that first budget cycle, 4 months on the job, we were having conversations about people not being in the organization. But that is the reality of where we are right now. Unfortunately, we've been able to manage our reserves and fund balance, find some efficiencies over the past 3 budget cycles, or 2 budget cycles where we haven't had to reduce staffing significantly, and we've avoided layoffs. But I can say to the community and to you, it will be difficult to do that. Now the conversation is about how much we will have to do that according to you. So with that, I'm open to some questions, reactions, comments. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, a few things. I mean, it's interesting, the administrator number. Everybody wants to look at the administrator number. There's unfunded mandates glaring you right in the face. You got to have increased APPR, double the number of observations that you had previously, and the state has given us flat aid. So, I mean, if you want to see an unfunded mandate spelled out in a simple number, there's one right there. I mean, we've had to have people to get that done. This district has said we actually want to try and comply with the mandate, even though they're not giving us any money. Some other school districts have just said we can't do it. They're not even making the attempt at it. So a different situation there. Some things that have changed, meaning the state has reneged on a few things in the last year. Yeah. You saw the gap between our tax levy increase and the tax cap. We previously been told the law was that you could bank that, you could use that in a following year to increase higher and still just have a simple majority vote to get it. In fact, we had kind of talked about that last year and how much there was. Well, in October, they took that away from us. You can't any longer. And the other thing, they changed, if folks remember reading the papers when the tax cap came out, it's a formula and a calculation. And there were certain things that were going to be exceptions to it. The retirement payments, if they were rising at a faster rate and so forth, they'd be an exception to the tax cap. One of the things was if you were investing in your buildings, if you were making capital improvements and investing in your buildings, there'd be an exception there as well to allow a slightly greater increase. Well, they took that one away. So, what the state's telling you is don't improve your buildings. Just let them deteriorate. We're not going to help you with that. So, and that, of course, is one of the places where we have been making investments in the buildings, and now we're not. It's taken away from us in the formula. So we're pushing against some tough changes at the state level, and with the state continuing the gap elimination adjustment, taking 3.3 million from us this year, based on the calculation of our aid. It's a pretty substantial piece of money and would really change our picture this year dramatically if we were getting the aid that the formula shows. Understand what gap elimination for the state was. They'll calculate your aid, and we owe you 31 million. Oops, we're going to take 4.5 million away from you at the bottom. After we've told you what your aid is, we're just going to balance our budget by taking money off the bottom line, and that's about 3.3 million this year. School Boards Association has made that their number one priority, is to get rid of the gap elimination. This year, we talked with the PTA Council about it today. State budget is underway right now. If people are interested in this, they need to communicate with Assemblywoman, Senator, and with the governor's office about it in order to get those funds restored.
And certainly the obvious question is, why didn't you have the higher tax levy all along? And certainly Brad has touched on that. Our thinking certainly was, initially, the economy, not only New York City, New York State, was in tough shape. We did not want to overburden, the local taxpayer with a higher tax rate than we frankly wanted to put out there. We talked a lot about a 2% world, and we've really tried to keep our thoughts in that area. certainly the idea that we could, bank for a later date when the economy got better, we could always use. What we did not ask the community for in earlier years, later when the economy's better, when locally we think it's, we're in a